The time has come in America when the same kind of concentrated effort that split the atom and took man to the moon should be turned toward conquering this dread disease.
In fact, it is now conceivable that our children's children will know the term cancer only as a constellation of stars.
It sends a very powerful message that, that this is a conversation that's happening now, and it's about something that will involve you and me and everyone else, because cancer is part of our lives.
Cancer is not one disease, it is many. All cancers begin in the same fashion, with the uncontrollable growth of a single cell. Leukemia is cancer of the blood-forming tissues. No one is immune to leukemia, and leukemia does not discriminate by race, sex, or age. Cancer is an unpredictable and vicious pestilence that has destroyed countless lives. As Dr. Suzanne Cole said, "Cancer wants to live at the expense of your entire body and your entire being. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care if you are a mother, or a husband, or a daughter, or if you have 4 children. It doesn't care." Leukemia is a mysterious strain of cancer, and for most of human history has been 100% fatal. Children have been contracting leukemia since the dawn of time, and leukemia was first observed by Alfred François Don, a French bacteriologist, in 1842. Don would write that the patient he was treating had symptoms of fever, loss of appetite, and bruised easily. The identification of leukemia would occur only a few short years later. Rudolf Virchow was a German scientist. He performed the first systematic autopsy of leukemia cells in 1845, which led to a true identification. Virchow also created medical journals that helped spread the knowledge of how this disease was contracted, though there was no cure. Another advancement would be made later that century. 1896 was a pivotal year for the war on cancer. Emil Grube, a doctor in Chicago, was homing in on a possible genesis for curing leukemia: radiation therapy. While Grube was experimenting with different dosages of X-rays, he developed radiation burns on his hand. While seeking treatment, a seemingly average physician said something that would change history. Any physical agent capable of doing so much damage to normal cells and tissues might offer possibilities if used as a therapeutic agent in the treatment of pathologic conditions in which irritative, blistering, or even destructive effects might be desirable. This statement fastened itself to Grube's mind, and in a few short years, Grube would attempt to cure cancer with radiation. Unfortunately, Grube's patients were unable to cope with the radiation and died a few months after treatment began. The fashion in which radiation can cure cancer is shown in the following excerpt from the Public Health Service.
High-dosage X-rays have a lethal effect upon cells which gradually destroys them. However, normal cells are not killed as rapidly as the malignant cancer cells. X-rays, therefore, can be used to destroy cancer cells without permanently damaging surrounding normal cells, which can recover from the effects of the radiation.
Years later, tragedy struck both Grube and his fellow early radiologists. At the time, radiologists calibrated their machines by running their hands under them for 30 seconds at a time. Due to this, many needed hand amputations and were diagnosed with cancers later in life. In the 1940s, guidelines were put into place, but it was too late for Grube, who had over 90 operations for his own cancers, which he died of on March 26, 1960. X-rays were the only solace for cancer patients until 1943, when 2 Yale professors, Dr. Louis Goodman and Dr. Alfred Gilman, made a breakthrough. Along with a decade that propelled the treatment for cancer, the 1940s were a decade for war. While World War II loomed over the country, scientists started a crusade to find an antidote for mustard gas. While experimenting, the 2 doctors would discover something that would save hundreds of thousands of lives: Rats they had exposed to low levels of mustard gas had an apparent lack of white blood cells. An anonymous patient, known only as JD, was given an illegal and primitive dose of chemotherapy, which consisted mostly of mustard gas. His tumors started shrinking and his condition improved. Despite this, chemotherapy was not recognized as a viable cancer treatment until 1946, when the study, The Pharmacological Basis of Therapeutics, was published. In 1948, another breakthrough was made by Sidney Farber. Farber worked around cancer his entire career, and he had decided to do something about it. He started experiments with leukemia, a cancer that, as of 1948, no child had survived. Before Farber could manufacture triumph, he brought about tragedy. Farber's first experiment, which supplemented children that had leukemia with folic acids, which accelerate the production of cells, resulted in the death of 2 children. Farber wrestled with what he had done and how to reverse the process for months. He pondered how an antifolate could be created, but he could not reconcile what its origin would be. In 1946, Laduro Laboratories produced the vitamins Farber had been fantasizing about. Farber thought that since folic acids helped create white blood cells, antifolates could halt the creation of leukemia cells. After he prescribed antifolates to children suffering from leukemia, for the first time ever, children survived leukemia. This triumph gave hope to the entire world and saved countless lives. Eli Lilly and Company was not satisfied with this triumph and continued researching additional cancer treatments. In the 1950s, they discovered that certain plant alkaloids were able to slow cell division, and in some cases, cause cell death. These findings were published, and new medicine was soon on hospital shelves. Even with the multitude of options available, compound treatments wouldn't become common practice for nearly half a century. In the 1990s, compound treatments using radiation, antifolates, plant alkaloids, and chemotherapy were first prescribed. This multifaceted treatment heightened survival ratings for children from 1975, which were less than 50%, to a hopeful 71% in 1990. Modern leukemia treatment is a 3-step process my family would soon be getting first-hand experience with. On December 3, 2011, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I immediately began treatment. The first stage of leukemia treatment is remission induction. Remission induction is a violent process in which high-dosage chemotherapy is used to purge the patient of cancerous cells. This step is usually the most dangerous of the 3 and can last from 30 to 90 days. Other factors, such as viral infections, even as mild as the common cold, can also be life-threatening. The second stage of leukemia treatment is known as consolidation therapy. The purpose of consolidation therapy is to ensure that all cancerous tissues have been destroyed. This process can take up to 9 months. After doctors are satisfied that the cancer has been eradicated, maintenance therapy begins. Maintenance therapy is continued cancer treatment following an initial round of therapy. After maintenance therapy is completed, and blood work shows no signs of relapse, complete remission is achieved. While this is the ultimate goal for all cancer treatments, not all treatments are successful. Doctors throughout the 2000s refined this compound treatment into a process with a 90% success rate. In the past 100 years, the survival rate for childhood leukemia has climbed from 0% to 90%. Thanks to the decisions of several researchers to persevere through personal tragedies to achieve long-term triumphs, the world has gained a greater ability to save lives.
Maybe in another life I could find you there, pulled away before your time. I can't deal, it's so unfair, and it feels like heaven so far away.